Thank you for tuning in to part 2 of this very special Thanksgiving feast double release of the Cousin Vito Casino podcast. We welcome back Robin from Anytime Gambling, and we're going to finish up what we talked about in that first part. We're going to get into 15 do's and don'ts for the recreational gambler, so sit back, relax, grab a cocktail, and let's have some fun together in this COVID world.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cousin Vito's Casino Podcast proudly presents your guide to enjoying gambling. And now, direct from the bar, your cousin and mine, Cousin Vito!
All right, Robin, we're going to jump into 15 do's and don'ts for the recreational gambler. We're going to run right through this because we're pushing an hour here. I know. I'm sure there's some people that are happy because we haven't had a podcast, so I haven't done one in since the Daniel Negreanu podcast. I don't think back right when the pandemic started. So
yeah, but it's just fun talking about casinos with people these days. It's something that we need to do. It's something that we've missed. So. Hey, what the heck,
Yeah, you're right, Robin. Thank you, because it's funny because I tried to make it an hour because I'm like, nobody wants to hear me for more than an hour. But it's like, you know what? If somebody's still downloading, maybe they do want to hear for more than an hour because it's been so long. And for me, it's almost like I'm telling you, like I go to work and we were going to record, and it was like, all right, we'll go record this nice little thing. We'll put something out for the fun of it because I do have a couple of side interviews I'm working on also with I don't want to say celebrity, but I've been wanting to. I still have the burning passion for the casinos. I still have the burning passion to create stuff. I've been doing a Dynasty Fantasy Football podcast. I don't know if Dynasty Fantasy Football, you keep all the players. It's kind of like gambling. It's gambling, but it's the minutia of managing a fantasy football team for eternity. So it's a good being trapped in your own hobby, I guess. But just to talk about the casino, I'm almost breaking a sweat here. I'm so excited. But let's get into the 15 do's and don'ts, and hopefully I didn't break all these on my trip report. So we're going to start with number 1, and you can head over to Anytime Gambling. That's at letter N, the letter E, timegambling.com. Robin, I got to tell you, I haven't been to the website recently. I just started going back. I saw this link. I went there. This is a nice little streamlined website here. We got all the links. It's got the categories. I might need a revamp on my website.
Yeah, we've been updating it quite a bit. A year ago, Google did a little number on us, and we lost most of our followers. So we've been little by little cleaning it up and updating, and we've been getting noticed lately. So that's a good thing.
And speaking of that, anyone who's emailed me, I apologize. I got like 300-400 emails in my Gmail. I answer some of them. It depends. If I get the email and I see the alert, I'll respond to it. But I got hundreds of emails. Most of them are like my blog is outdated. There's all sorts. I can only imagine what they are. But if anyone's emailed me and I haven't gotten back to you, try again or try messaging me on Twitter at Vito's Casino, because I do try to respond to everybody. But with the baby and the COVID, it's kind of like sometimes I'm putting my cousin Vito email on the back burner, which I may or may not apologize for. It's the way life's been going. But we're going to jump in 15 do's and don'ts. We're going to start with number 1 here. Bring the amount of money you are able to lose, which Rob and I did. We went over my trip report. I not only did I bring the amount of money I was able to lose, at one point I had to take out a little more money that I was able to lose that I ended up winning back, which normally I never do, but because, this was a very important trip, I did go to the ATM. Full disclosure, I feel, not ashamed of myself, but normally I always bring what I want to spend, but because it was a special overnight, I did go to the ATM, but it did end up working out okay.
Yeah, I've been working on that as well, and most of the time people don't bring enough of a bankroll for the denomination that they want to play, and there are resources out there like anytimegambling.com, and that will explain that how many times your bet should you be bringing, or what game. If you're playing in video poker, what should you be bringing, determining, by the volatility of the game. You can get all of these things, mentioned and learn how much you should really be taking with you, at places like, anytimegambling.com. So just wanted to tell you that, yeah.
So number 1, the do. I nailed the do. Let's see. Here we go. We're going to use we might as well use this mixer I purchased, right? when I don't do a double, I'll be equally honest. The number 2 do, know the rules of the game you might play. So, been doing this show long enough. I know the rules of craps. I know the rules of Pai Gow. I know, there's not many rules in the slot machine, but I do know if there's a progressive, I better be playing max bet because there'll be nothing worse than hitting the grand prize progressive and not having max bet and not getting paid for it. That's agony I don't want to live with. So knowing the rules, it's easier said than done sometimes, though, because I also have to admit, I did tell you I played the fortune bonus. Can I tell you the math of the fortune bonus off the top of my head, Robin? I can't. I know it's a leak. I know it's a bad idea, but even me, I'm not brushed up on all my numbers these days. That's why I felt like it was maybe good to, shake some of the rust off here.
No, that's true. And, knowing the rules of the game isn't just for your own, consideration in terms of bankroll. It's also for, considering the others around you. If you don't know the rules of the game and you slow things down, that's a drag for, all the other players at the table or whatever have. So, yeah, practice before you go. Know the game of the rule. Know the game's rules, and it's good for everybody.
And admittedly, I did notice a couple times. I'm not going to name names of where I was because all the dealers were great to me, but I did notice, a higher frequency of dealer mistakes. And I don't know if it was just sheer luck or sheer whatever that I noticed these. But we'll say, for instance, a Pai Gow. There were times that maybe somebody had, a straight or a flush, and they would have got paid for the fortune bonus, and the dealer missed it, and they had to say, "Oh, you owe me." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where there were times where if you weren't on top of your game and knew your rules, you might have even been giving money away because maybe they have younger dealers, or maybe, depending the time I went, it's harder to, I'm sure a lot of people that's the tough part. In the hospitality industry, there's probably a lot of turnover at all these casinos, not just our casinos. And you might be dealing with inexperienced people or people that, they're bringing in somebody sick. They're bringing in a new dealer that's just getting used to it. So knowing the rules can also help your pocketbook in the sense that maybe a dealer misses something that you would have won. And if you aren't paying attention or you're sloppy, you're leaving money on the table. Yep,
that's absolutely right. So that's three reasons, for your own play, for to help the dealers or make sure that they don't make any mistakes, and also to keep things moving on with the people around you. So, yeah, that's a good one.
All right, here we go. So we'll see. I'm 2 for 2 here. Boom. All right, we're going to keep it rolling here. Number 3, do enjoy all the casino experience has to offer. And we went through my trip report, Robin. I think I did. It's different now, but I went to Guy Fieri's. I played an assortment of different games. I went on a bunch of casino strolls. I feel like I had a lot of, I didn't go sit and throw pennies in the fountain or anything because you're trying to, remain away from people. But overall, as long as you go, you have a cocktail, you have a nice meal, and you gamble with as much as you could lose, that's really the casino experience. And hey, the room was free, and Foxwoods did do me the solid, and I checked in separately with my mother, and they gave us adjoining rooms on separate reservations. They were able to make it happen, non-smoking. So I feel like that's the experience these days. I'm sure younger people might still go to the club or something, but it's a little different now.
Yeah, but from your trip report, I'd say you're 3 for 3.
I'm going to wear this button out, hopefully. Number 4, do sign up for rewards cards. And obviously, we were talking about, I'm signed up. I got rewards cards falling out of my desk drawer here, all the casinos I'm at the rewards programs for. But one of the value adds is for your local casino. For me, and admittedly, Robin, I made a conscious decision between Foxwoods and Mohegan. I went to Foxwoods because they tend to give me better room offers, and that's more of my speed. I love having the room. I love staying up there. So I've been putting all my, I don't want to say work, putting my play into Foxwoods. So not only did I sign up for the rewards card, I'm also planning my trips around these tier credit multipliers because, I want to get up to these tiers that I've never made it up to because they're extending your tiers now. I don't know if you noticed that some of these casinos, they're extending the time to make the next tiers because they want you to play. They feed off people like me who want to make that next tier get basically, a couple of little comps just for playing a whole lot more. So not only did I sign up, I've been capitalizing on the tier rewards.
Oh, and you, like you said before, those multiplier days are just worth their weight in gold. And places such as MGM, they're extending your level to 2021. So Yeah, now's the time to really take advantage of some offers that they have. Get the freebies and comps, and again, don't play too much. Play for the big play, and you'll see the rewards card pay off.
Boom. 4 for 4 here.
You are rocking and rolling.
I'm on
man.
a Ryan. I didn't even study this beforehand. All right, number 5. Oh boy, here we go. This one you might get me on. Be content with small wins. Normally I'm content with every little. I'm content with losses. I'm content with small losses most of the time. But in my, not in my defense, in the opposite, to incriminate myself, in my story, I did mention how I played Pai Gow for hours. Had a great time, had a bunch of cocktails, broke even at a $25 table, and I was playing $50 hands. I was playing 2 hands at a time. When the pit boss came by, I might even up my bet a little more than that to, try and make the computer love me.
That's right.
But I did walk away from that beautiful, even Pai Gow run where I was showered in cocktails, and I ran to a craps table and lost all that money in less time than it took to shuffle the decks between the Pai Gow hands here.
Yeah.
So being content with small wins is something that everyone needs to be, because really, if you're not losing, 90% of the time your win's pretty small. You know what I mean? Like walking out, double your bankroll, that's a good day.
And you have to consider the comps. Like if you're playing at Pai Gow, which is a little harder to get good comps because of the number of push ratios that you have available to you. But if you play for 4 hours and you end up losing a couple $100, that's a win, because you've given them time and money in that will count towards your tier and towards your points. So even small losses can be considered small wins.
And hey, those Fiji waters got to be at least $1 a piece, right?
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
By all those hours, I must have had about 5 feet. I don't drink Fiji water anywhere but the high limit room. That's about it. I never get Fiji water. So if I'm gonna have the Fiji, it's gonna be there. So technically, let's see here. Let me get my button ready. Here we go. I was not content with my small win. I was on a rampage, Rob, and I just had to play. So I didn't do your number 5 do. I wasn't content with my small wins. I was more into being a wild animal and running around and playing, and I lost hundreds of dollars in seconds. Like literally, I'm telling you, I got back to the table and they didn't even start dealing yet. Like they were like, all right, we're on break because they're going to switch the decks. And by the time I got back, they didn't even deal. And I lost all the money I had at the table. So either way, at least I knew my ATM pin. All right, moving on to the number 6. Do check for deals and promotions online. And we went over this. I'm a tier credit guy. Since my trips have been whittled down to less trips, I've been making sure that my trips are on tier credit multiplier days. And I've been planning around that because I'm a comps guy. My game is for the comps.
Absolutely. And also check out not only their websites of the casinos, but check out their Facebook and Twitter accounts, because sometimes there are things that they will list that you're not going to find on their website. And some casino websites are just, absolutely pathetic. And so, any information that you can get that's going to be added as a special promotion to your comp value, do it. Take advantage of it. I mean, why go to the casino and play 2 hours of video poker, which is number 1, it's a short play. Number 2, it's just a regular play, so you're not getting any special multiplier on it. Why would you do that when you can go another day and get 4 times? I believe Foxwoods in December has November has 5 times. I should know this. Of course, I just
they do have a 5 times. They actually do. Maybe I'll see you there, Robin, because I saw the 5 times, and I was like, they don't normally do the 5 times. I already told Amanda, I was like, I don't care if we got to get a babysitter. I don't know what we got to do with maybe. I don't know where we're gonna put the baby, but 5 times I got to get up there for the 5 times.
Oh yeah, I'll be there too. That's definite.
And another side note is always check your own personal offers, because the trip that I went on that I was telling you about, that was actually, and this is something different for Foxwoods, but a lot of places do this, is because of my tier, I'm currently there, it was offered to my tier and I had to accept the point multiplier to go play. So it wasn't a normal advertised multiplier that you see on the website. It was something to do with my card, whether they noticed I was going on the multiplier day, so they offered me an extra one. But I based my trip around my own personal tier offer, and the slot the slot play offers, because I play a little slots, I'll get free bets. So a lot of times I play around those different, I don't go up and get my coffee maker anymore, but now I play around my free plays that they give me also.
Right. And if I should say one more suggestion, make sure that you stop in at a kiosk and swipe your card to see what you've got on there, because there could be an offer there. But also, like, for example, MGM Springfield, if you don't activate the multiplier before you start playing at the kiosk, you're not going to get it. So just to, make sure you stop at the kiosk, swipe your card. Boy, I'm getting tired.
Well, these days you got to wipe the card too, Robin. You got to get the disinfectant wipes, wipe the card, swipe the card, but there's nothing more heartbreaking than thinking you're getting multiplied tier credits or multiplied reward credits, and you didn't activate it. I mean, that's the most disheartening discovery when you're going to a casino that does that. I mean, I understand why they do it, but that hurts.
Yep.
All right, so moving on. I checked my promos. Let me get this.
Yep.
Boom. Next. All right, this is going to be a couple. I mean, this one I could argue, but don't believe in superstitions and myths. And normally I don't, Robin, but you know what? When I went to that roulette table, I was playing 10. My grandfather's birthday was 10-10. Me and my mom played the 10, and guess what? We won all our slot money back based on the 10. So do I believe in superstitions? No. But do I sometimes want to believe in superstitions to make it a little more fun? Yes. So I'm going to give myself a failure on this one. Failure. Well, I have my own superstitions. I do. If I play roulette, I'm playing magic numbers. If I play crap, sometimes I'm. If I'm on the 10, maybe I'm maxing out those odds even at the $15 table because I love that 10. So do it within as long as you're following you bring your money to lose. I think you could believe in some superstitions and myths as long as you realize, there's superstitions and myths.
There's a difference between being superstitious and a little stitious, and you're a little stitious with the number. That's no big deal. That's not going to hurt you. But it's when people have this superstition like, they because the casino's just reopened and they need the money, they've gone and changed all the payouts on the machines to be tighter. It's just a myth because they don't have to change the payouts to make money. Slots are that's their greatest revenue. So a little stitious, it's not a bad thing. I've got this thing, and I try to be very stoic about doing the right thing all the time. But when I'm playing video poker, if I don't immediately hit the right hold cards, and then I have to change it to the right hold cards, I believe the machine is not going to give me anything because it realizes I'm not playing the correct strategy. Now, how silly is that? Okay,
right? So, they probably reward you for not playing the incorrect strategy. They're like, good, let this guy get his wet his whistle here, so he keeps dumping into us.
Yep. So.
Hey, well, you know what? That's how we all. I mean, these days it's different because you can't touch the slot machine screen as much. But that's how my mother is. She loves touching the screen, pushing stopping the reels, resetting the machine. She has all sorts of little, and one of them that I do that cracks me up because if you read the rules, it says it. But the machines where they have the pot that fills up with the money on the top, like the little coin pot, and then you're like, oh, it's almost full, it's due. Those ones crack me up because when you do actually, not to sound like a real gambleaholic, but when you watch the YouTube slot machine players, you could see they'll hit 2 back to back sometimes when the pot's empty. And when you read the instructions to read the fine print, it says the pot has no effect on what's going on. You know what I mean? It tells you in fine print when you read it. So that's one of them that's kind of comical is when you see the people fighting over the machine that has the full pot on it.
Yeah. And, you just have to realize that just about every bet in the casino is an isolated event, and it has nothing to do with what came before it or what is going to be coming after it. So the I'm due for a win thing, just don't ever believe that because every event, every betting wager, that is its own distinct event, and it has nothing to do with anything before or after.
And that's kind of the interesting part of it. And then this is a good example that I use when I try to explain it to people. It's like a coin flip. I flip one coin for us, Robin, 50% heads, 50% tails, unless it lands on its side, which is astronomical. But you're talking 50%. But 20 times in a row, how many times is it going to hit heads? You could, if you did the math ahead of time and said, all right, what are the odds this coin does heads 10 times or 20 times in a row? Whatever that is going to be very astronomical once you multiply, 50% times all the 20 different trials. But if you go 19 times with heads in a row, it's only a 50% chance that it's going to be heads the next time still. Even though 20 times in a row is astronomical, once you make it to that 19th, it's still 50-50 because that's the way the coin flips.
Exactly, and that's how slots can be so deceiving, because you can play them for an hour and believe that it's a very cold machine, which I there are no hot and cold machines. It's just human perception. But if you were to do that penny day after day after day after day, you could go 50 or 60 times without hitting tails. And that's what we as humans want to try to make sense of something that we can't make sense of. And you just have to accept the random number generator. You just have to accept the fact that these machines have swings at up and down, and they're not programmed to do that. Mathematically, they're programmed to do that, but you just don't know when it's going to happen. So the "I'm due for a win," just erase that from your vocabulary.
All right, yeah. So don't believe the superstitions and myths. Have a little fun with it though, if you want to, but know that you're having some fun. Number 8 here. We're gonna plow through these. We're having a good time. I'm having fun talking about the casino here. I got to tell you here. So we'll give that another victory. Boom. There we go. I'm only a little stitious. Look, Michael Scott, a little stitious here.
Right.
So number 8. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah. Don't drink alcohol irresponsibly while gambling. Now, in my defense, which is a terrible way to start this, in my defense. With the mask on, I did drink a little less. I felt like I drank responsibly, because drinking irresponsibly is when you wake up and you're like, what did I do? You know what I mean? That's really when you drink and you're going to have some fun and you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, I know what I did. To me, I mean, and this is a very gray line here, I guess I'm saying, but to me, if you wake up and you know what you did and you played within your means and you had a good time, and whether, maybe you should have walked away up 100, but you played the 100 and lost, but you had some fun. To me, that's still drinking and gambling responsibly. As long as you're not going to the ATM bacala and waking up and, writing a letter for yourself that, trying to apologize to everybody, I think you did an okay job of drinking responsibly. But you're less of a drinker than I am. What are your opinions on the drinking responsibly?
Well, I do drink less these days, and I enjoy my vodka at the when I'm playing video poker, but I do drink less, and it's not just necessarily again a single person's concern. It's you don't want to get to be that guy that's just completely obnoxious drunk that doesn't really know what they're doing, and they get in the way of everybody else's play. So, there are two parts to it. You want to save, your ability to play with the good strategy and a good mind, and also you just don't want to be that miserable guy that messes everybody else's time up. So, don't drink. Drink, but responsibly. So, which is, and as I'm opening up, I'm going to actually kill the McKellen right now. There, sorry. I'm having so much fun with you, Robin. I mean, this is as close as I've get to talk to somebody at a craps table in about a year. So, so we're gonna really live it up here. I'm sure my wife's gonna love this. But so I would say I drank responsibly there. And one side note story before I give my, we'll do it for it. Oh yeah, I did it. Thank God I had the mask over myself. It slowed me down. But one thing I did see that I was with, I think I was with my mother at the time. We were in the high limit room, and there was a guy that was, I don't know if he was drunk, but he was very, loud and very vocal about his losing. And he was hitting this machine, Robin. And, it was a high limit machine, so obviously the guy was playing. And out of his mouth, he was like, you put in $5,000, you figure they give you something. And to sit there as somebody who,
I'm not a millionaire here, but losing $5,000 at a slot machine in a sitting isn't palatable to me. Whether I was a millionaire or not, that's a lot of money to lose at a slot machine in a sitting. But to see this guy sitting there, angry at the slot machine that he put in so much money, it was almost not that it was a wake up call, but it was a reality check of what, more money doesn't mean more fun at the casino, because within your means is where the fun is. Outside your means is where the disaster lies.
Right. And the fact that that many of the casinos don't have as many staff, giving you free drinks. I mean, they've cut back. Every casino has cut back on staff. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe we're able to get enough alcohol that we like to enhance the play and still not lose our ability to know when to keep the kicker or not, so maybe there are some things coming out of the changes that we're seeing in the casinos that some of them are should be considered advantageous.
Oh yeah, and worst case, bring a little more scotch to the hotel room.
There you go.
And take it before you go down. Number 9, don't forget casino chips are money. And we're going to do this. I left the pie guy. We talked about it. I left the pie guy table. Yeah. All those hours of playing, having a great time. There was I could have just went to the bathroom, not even went to the craps table, and I was too revved up, too fired up. And I went and lost, my whole pie guy bankroll basically, minus a little bit, at the craps table in literally 15 minutes, where if I could have bet $100 a hand on Baigow and not lost that in that much time. So remember, when you have those chips in your hand, it's a different feeling losing those chips than when you go to the table and take out those crisp hundreds or take out that wad of 20s, because I'm at the grocery store, I'm buying the generic medicine, the generic Tylenol because it's 20 cents less. And then I'm at the casino and I'm like, oh, here, drink lady, here's, $5 for one cocktail. I don't care. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to do max odds. Oh yeah, do the hard 8 anyway. Who cares? Where, in my real life, I'm sitting here not adding, toppings to my sandwich to save a quarter, which is so weird that you go to the casino and you let it all hang out.
Isn't that something? Yeah, yeah. If you're leaving a table, the pit boss and the crew would prefer that you color in anyways. So if you color in instead of taking your chips and put them in your pocket, then you get that cash back. It kind of reminds you that you have real money in your hands. So that's not a bad thing to do either. Any table that you're leaving from, color in first.
And that's a good tip, and that's something I generally do try to do is if I'm switching games, and it depends, if you're playing with people and you're jumping table to table. But generally, if I'm done with a craps run, I'll go cash in. Unless I'm going to play more on the trip. But if I'm going to switch games, a lot of times I'll cash my chips and get the cash. And then, this is also the Weasley comp person in me, that this may or may not be a superstition that I could get a ding for here. But I like going to the table and buying in with the cash. I feel like they pay more attention to me when I go to the table. And if I'm handing hundreds of dollars in cash in, they're counting it, they're holding it. Here we go, we're giving it out. But if I show up with $100 in chips, they don't even care. They're like, oh yeah, this guy, whatever. Who's he? Who knows? He has chips already.
Right.
So
especially if you show up with more cash than you're going to play, but they're looking at you like, oh, this guy's, he's put $1,000 on the table, and in your mind you're saying, hey, yeah, but I'm only spending 300 of it, so right. They do look at you a little bit differently.
That's where they got to work on the drinking irresponsibly part for me. They get the cocktails going, then they will get that $1,000. All right, so we're gonna move on to number 10 here, and this is don't be afraid to ask the staff for help. And I'm gonna give this because I love talking to the staff. I love asking. Even actually, this is a little side story here, Robin. I was at the casino and I found $100 on the floor in the high limit room. So I was trying to be a good Samaritan here. So I went to the lady. They had the lady. She wasn't any sort of money person, but it was the lady who was like cleaning up the drinks or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I said, hey, I found this $100 on the floor. She didn't care. She had, no, I don't care. Keep it. I don't care. Nothing to me. I don't nothing to do with it. So I had to go myself to return it to, so my own conscience with, $100 in the high limit room. That's probably nothing to whoever lost it. But I went to the staff and asked for help. I said, what can you do for me? They said nothing, but at least I asked. That's the key is they're here to help you. You go to a table, and that's the great thing about Paigow is the dealer will tell you how to set your hands. There's a lot of games where they will tell you if you're confused about what to do, what you should do. And if you're at the craps table, sometimes, I mean, craps is tough because there's a lot going on. But if you're at an empty table, the dealers enjoy helping the gambler if there's, time, and if there's, if the time isn't of the essence and there's time at the table to help you. They enjoy talking about the game and giving you tips. And one of the greatest tips I got was my first craps game. Me and my cousin Mikey, we went up big, Robin. And you know what the guy said to us? He said, "That'll never happen again." And honestly, it did happen again, but you know what? It wasn't bad advice because it got in my head, and it stuck with me because I said, you know what? Here's a guy who's here as his job. And the first thing he did was totally crap on my excitement, which is cynical of him and bad for the casino, but at the same time, it always made me aware. And then, the other old man at the table said, "Hey, easy come, easy go." And that also stuck with me. Those, are my earliest craps memories were, ain't going to happen again, and easy come, easy go. So sometimes the dealer, they have that wisdom for you. And, as a gambler, sometimes you have unbridled optimism. And that dealer, not that they want to be Debbie Downers, but when you see their optimism doesn't match your optimism, it kind of, not only tempers your expectations, but tempers the amount of money you want to lose.
True. And, the staff is there to help you. They want you to be happy. And I got to say that most of the dealers that I have played with over the years, they want you to be happy too. They want you to win. So especially at Pie-Gow table, after all the hands have been laid, if you're not sure what to, if to split the two pairs or not, ask the dealer for the house play. I do want to make one point though. That two things about that $100. If you find money on the floor or a Tito ticket on the floor, you could get away with it, but you could also be found because anything that gets on the floor of the casino becomes the casino's property. So if you're found taking something like that, and that the eye in the sky notices that and they feel like pressing it, you could be banned from that particular casino over $100. So be careful about that. And the other thing is, Vito, that was my $100. So if you could just send me a check, I'd appreciate it.
It's been swallowed by Foxwoods, Robin. I'm sorry. Well, that's the tough part too. Is you find something, and the reason why, I mean, I have a good, I try to be a good Samaritan and have a good conscience anyway. But years ago, my mother lost, $300 fell out of her pocket. So some sort of thing where money fell out of her pocket. She was grabbing something, and she went to security. They found it, and the person turned it in. And, it's a revelation of, if somebody's looking for it, they will find it at the casino. So if maybe you find, as you said, under $100, $20, what are they going to do? The people lose $20 in a blink of an eye. But if you're getting into, hundreds of dollars, there might be somebody looking for that, and they might look at the tape and say, "Oh, look, this jamoke found the money on the floor and then put it right in a slot machine or went right to the table with it." So It's a conscious thing. You never know what awaits us in this world, but hopefully you make the right decisions enough. It'll hopefully get some karma for you.
I think that just because you asked, on where to give the $100 to, and that you tried to find the person who lost it, I think you won number 10.
And then the lady didn't seem concerned at all. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
she was like, no, she was like, whatever, it's yours. And it was like, well, I don't know what to do here. I got a conscience. So, but let's move on before I incriminate myself any further. Here we go. We want number 11. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Nailed it. All right,
Hey.
Number 11, and this is one I know I already passed, but don't directly hand the dealer chips or cash. Put it on the table. The dealer cannot take the cash out of your hand. You can't take the chips out of your hand. You put it on the table because the eye in the sky wants to know what's going on. And if hand-to-hand combat is where magicians hide things. So always put it on the table without, really when you just start gambling is when you don't get that, because you want to hand the money. You're not used to putting your money on the table. You're used to holding your wallet in your pocket, checking for your phone, making sure nobody touches any of your stuff. It's weird to throw hundreds of dollars on a felt table, but eye in the sky. I passed. I mean, Robin, I know you passed. We both passed this one. You don't hand it directly to the dealer, but be aware of that if you're a novice. They
we
want to
can
see
pass right on to number 12 too, because that's cool.
Oh yeah, we did it. Do follow the pandemic protocols, especially while gambling. Boom. Actually, you know what? I did get dings. I did get dings for trying to chug my coffee, and the person said, and who knows? I don't know how they caught me so fast, because how big's the little cup of coffee? It's like it's like a tiny cup of coffee. They nailed me. You could take your mask down between sips, and they looked me in the eye and said, between sips. And I was like, all right. So I put it up, you know what I mean? And then I really saved up to do my chug and finish the coffee. But, that's something you got to get used to is, the beverage consumption was the hard part. Playing with the mask on, I can get used to it because you live with the mask on.
Yep.
Walking around, it's fine. Eating and taking it off when I eat, I can live with that. But the beverage consumption, for a guy like me, I almost wanted to invest in one of the masks you see online with the straw hole and the flap. Because, that would have been easier for me. I could just hold it up and go to my straw hole. And, they probably ding me for having the straw hole. But, that's the only tough part is the beverage consumption, which helps me drink more responsibly, I guess. Other than tonight, Robin. I'm almost done with my third scotch here. We're at number 12, though.
Well, maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I got used to wearing the mask so much that when I got myself a coffee, I forgot I had the mask on, and like my mask ended up with coffee on it, So, anyways.
Well, I believe it because I did the same thing. I smashed the straw into my face. But then I was like, does that mean the straw's contaminated? I've been breathing in through the mask. What am I doing? My whole hazmat situation's ruined, but we'll move on. I don't want to think about it. I made the same mistake, though. I'm smashing my straw into my mask like a dope. So number 13, which I always do take a walk around when you arrive. And now in COVID times, it's a little more hair raising to take a walk around. But if you go at the right times, you got to break yourself in. It's like the football player. Tom Brady doesn't go out there without stretching. He doesn't throw 4 touchdowns without loosening the arm a little bit. Go out there. Maybe you don't go play those high limit slots right off the bat. Maybe you buy in for something smaller. You wet your whistle a little bit. Maybe you get a coffee first, like we were talking about, and scout out your favorite machine. The key is when you get there, maximize your time on the floor, maximize the enjoyment. And if there's anything I do, it's maximizing the enjoyment on the casino floor.
Yeah, and you also take walks, take breaks. I know that you do that on a normal basis. So that's really a good thing to do when you're there too. Play a little while, and take a break, walk around, get yourself away from there so that you can go back fresh.
Oh yeah, and one of my favorites is on the Foxwoods Pequot floor, and this goes for any casino where they have fountains or big things to look at, especially in Vegas. There's more things to look at than anything. I like going on, and this you'll understand this on the Pequot floor. You know how they have the railing, and you could overlook below into the Pequot lobby. You can see the piano and everyone with their bags. Usually, when I'm on the Pequot floor, that's my break spot. I'll get my coffee or I'll have my cocktail. I'll go lean on the rail with my wife or my mother. We'll sit there, sip our cocktails, and think about things. They have the nice glass ceilings above you, so you can kind of see the weather outside a little bit, which is rare in the casino. So find those spots in your local casino that you enjoy standing at, and make it part of your trip. For me, I almost always at one point in the trip go stand at that little atrium area where I can look below, look up to the lights right in front of the Guy Fieri bar, and it becomes like one of my little pit stops. Maybe I'll stop at the Starbucks and get a coffee there with my points and enjoy it, watching the people check in.
And just watching the people. I mean, talk about entertainment. I mean, come on, watching people at a casino, you will see everything, literally everything. So
I'm telling you, that was the one thing Amanda said. She was like, I feel paranoid that I was so worried about COVID and all these people here with oxygen tanks and the electric wheelchairs are around. They don't even care. They got cigarettes hanging out of their mouth. They're touching all the buttons. They got 2 machines going. Nobody cares. And I'm sitting here like with the hazmat suit on, taking my clothes off when I get in the hotel room, throwing them on the floor. It's like these people have been hanging here. They got the platinum cards and they got the oxygen tank in the wheelchair. Go figure.
That's right. Yeah, so they probably got the oxygen tank from being a platinum.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure they're struggling saying, where do I smoke all these cigarettes now? All right, number 14. All right, this is another one that I mean, it's a good habit, but financially I'm probably might be a little foolish. Do be prepared to tip. I I love tipping the dealers. I love tipping the beverage ladies or men, mostly ladies still these days, but sometimes you get a beverage fella out there. And one guilty confession I do have, Robin, is I feel guilty because 90% of my tips, this excludes beverage tips. 90% of my table tips, they're all dealer bets. And, I feel guilty because sometimes after a long session, I could have tipped the dealer $20 in his pocket. And instead, it all went to the casino because all my dealer bets get crushed like the rest of my bets. So I'm personally weighing between straight tokes to the dealer and then the dealer bets. I have to find the better proportion, so it's fair to the dealer.
No, I think, by the way, this number 14 is in here because of basically your influence when we first met and you were talking about how much you tipped in tipping ahead of time. So thank you very much. 14. You can give yourself another plus.
All right.
There you go.
Number 14. I'm going to have to play that at the roulette table next time, I think. Robin.
Yeah, there you go. I think the dealers half the time enjoy being in play. So as far as dealers go, I usually like to give them their tip as play during the game. It's almost like you're bonding with the dealer. And other staff, I again, for your suggestion, the first tip I tip larger than I would normally, and in these times, I mean, between entertainment and staff and people are really having a tough time financially. Give a little bit extra. A $2 tip instead of a $1 tip is not going to hurt. Your 88 cents on the drum slot machine or whatever. So tip and you'll find that it comes back to you. Usually fivefold. So,
and actually, I've had a couple cocktails, Robin. So I'm going to tell you a story that I've never told before here on the show. I haven't played that much this year. So this was a trip, a while ago, and I never mentioned it. I'm not going to even name the casino I was at because it's an interesting, and I don't know for sure if this is what really happened. So I was playing, and I'll tell you the game. I was playing Pai Gow. So obviously, Pai Gow, there's a variable where the dealer sets their own hands. And, the house has a way they play the hands, right? So I was at a Pai Gow table at an unknown casino. This is, we're talking, this was in the past several years, so this isn't to incriminate any dealers or anybody that I've seen recently. But then this is part of where my tipping early and often came from. So I would always, give dealer bets. You try to make conversation with the dealer. You want to be the person at the table the dealer's happy to see you walk up. And they're like, oh, this guy's going to be a good time. So I was playing a Pai Gow game at a casino, tipping, having a good time. And at the time I was getting beat up pretty good. Not beat up within my means, but beat up, for I'm not going to win a lot of money tonight. And so the dealer flipped their hand, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I got nothing. I had maybe, a terrible Pai Gow hand, maybe a pair at the bottom, high card on the top, nothing where I was really rooting for anything. And the dealer set their hands, and they were like, okay, all right, set their hand, all right. When going around, and I'm looking at the dealer's hand, and I'm like, they had a flush that they didn't see. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not whatever it is, but at the time I was having my cocktails, and I was like, what's going on here? I'm looking at the hands, and the dealer pays me. I give the commission. And then I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, this dealer went around very fast. You know what I mean? This is the dealer seemed very astute. It was somebody I never, seen before. It was at a casino I don't really play at. But after the hand happened, I was like, did the dealer do that because we were all getting crushed and the dealer, wanted to get tips? What was the reason for the thing?
Yeah.
Where it's and it's not just Pai Gow, but even at the craps table, sometimes the dice land on the side and the dealer gets to make the call, or they get to do a no roll, or they do the roll, because sometimes you get the dice arguments at the craps table. And not that the tipping's going to give you the win, but sometimes if the dealer likes you, it'll give you that 50-50 where it's going to break your way this time because the dealer says, all right, you know what, re-roll, or all right, you know what, whatever. So not that tipping's going to, make the dealer on your side, but that was something that happened to me a long time ago that I never forgot. And I was like, this guy is too astute to not notice that, the flush. It was a very smart dealer at a high-end casino somewhere where... does it make a difference? I don't know. But at least they feel a little more bad for you when you're tipping them.
I think of the craps table. The craps is like a very important place to be considerate in your tipping, because there have been times when a drink or two, or you've just been playing for a while and you're a little bit foggy, you leave money on the table, and if the dealer is with you, if you've tipped them, and they'll be very considerate to make sure you get your money. They'll be very considerate to ask you before, the dice is thrown, if did you want to make this bet? So, they take care of you. It's tipping is important.
See, Robin, you put it very classy. That's a classy way to put it. I had to deal with my deep, dark secret story of I could have sworn the dealer set their hand wrong because we were tipping because it was the whole table. It wasn't just me. The whole table was tipping like crazy. We were having a blast at this point. But that always stuck with me. And it's true, though. When you go to the craps table, if you're tipping and the dealer likes you, they're going to say, hey, you want that hard way? What about your come bet? You want odds on this? Where if you're a curmudgeon that isn't tipping with the the little squeaky change purse, they're not going to care. They're going to say, all right, whatever. What's the difference? So good point. All right, so the story wasn't as terrible as I made it secretively sound, but it was something
absolutely not.
You know what I mean? It was something that, as somebody who always plays by the rules, it stood out to me where I was like, this is a smart dealer. How did they miss this? And I would, I felt the difference when they were collecting the money. I was like, this person seems, like, what's different here? And I was like, something, you know what I mean? Where it was like, it could have been an innocent mistake on the dealer, but I always chalked it up to he had a table of tipping people and he just went through it fast that day.
Yeah. And you don't want to be the guy that mentions it so that
believe me, I thought about it too, because I was in I think I was at the time there was no plexiglass, so I was in the 6th seat at the pie gow, so I was the last guy to get paid, so I had all this time to run it through my head, and I was like, I'm not going to be the guy that mentions it. I'm not going to be the guy. Wait a minute, you just set your cards wrong.
You want to make 5 other enemies at the table? There you go. There's an easy way to do it.
And the bright side is the casino got the money back by the end of the night anyway. So they went. And number 15, this is a very important one. It's a little less prevalent now that we're all covered by plexiglass, but be considerate to your other gamblers. Some of the best times, actually all the best times I've had at the casino have been with tables full of great people. Obviously, you could play a slot machine, win a bunch of money by yourself. But the best pie gow games and the best craps games I look back to, especially craps games, it's the table full of all your brethren, the table full of all your comrades, and you're sitting there slapping 5 and you're all happy for each other. So, and there's nothing worse than when you're at a table and you got a guy you can't stand next to, a complainer, or somebody who, we talk about the cigarette smoke, not so much anymore, but somebody who's inconsiderate with the cigarette smoke, somebody who's rude to the dealer, somebody who's, especially I'm going to harp on craps, but also blackjack, you're at a blackjack table. Maybe you don't make the perfect play because you're not up on your basic strategy. And then somebody ruins you and degrades you in front of everybody. There's nothing worse than being at the table with a negative Nancy, in my opinion. Like, I could deal with losing. There's nothing worse than losing with somebody that's a total jerk.
Yep. If nobody asks you for advice, don't give it. Really, it's just let it go. Even if it isn't the best strategy. People have to learn somewhere, and you can learn on all the apps you want, but the only way to really know what you're doing is when you get to the casino. So, be friendly, help people out if they ask you, but if they don't ask you, let it go.
Well, and especially because there's a little bit of comedy to it, because we're all really sitting at games that have a house edge. It's not like you're giving somebody stock tips that you're making $1 million off of. You know what I mean? So you could be at the craps table and say, oh, can you believe this guy's betting but he's betting the horn. What an idiot. You know what I mean? Well, I'm sitting there saying, well, I'm betting, and then I'll throw my hard way in and I'm like, can you believe this guy's betting the horn bet? He. It's almost like look in the mirror and say, we're all at the casino. And, some people, they give up that their own edge for that big windfall on those big bets, where if you hit a couple of them in a row, like, for instance, I watched somebody, I wish I had the whole story, but I watched somebody hit, horn numbers came out with 2, 3, 11, 12. You're talking, if the horn numbers come out several times in a row and you're one of those people that will press them or double your bet every time, you can make a lot of money in that rare circumstance that 4 horn numbers come out in a row. You know, 90%, probably more percent of the time, you're going to end up losing all that money if you're pressing it. But I've watched maniacs press their bets and win more money than I've won, you know, in 10 casino trips because they're pressing their bets like a maniac, something that I would never do. For instance, at a roulette table, this was years ago at the Pequot, I watched the guy come off the elevator, play roulette. He bought him with it, had a nickel on the 2, hit it, like tripled that bet, hit it again, pressed it, then hit again, and then they were writing, you know, they got to get the pit boss out to pay this guy because for whatever reason the 2 came out 3 times in a row, the 1 in a million shot.
Wow.
Where, you know, you could poo on anybody's time, but we're all there to have fun. So
That's right. That's right.
You know, even one thing I do got to say though, if you're on the progressive machine and you're not playing max bet, that hurts me. When I'm watching somebody, I'm like, man, I know it's never going to come out, and it's never come out for me. But you know that's your whole win on the machine is that $1 million. You could win your 50 cents on a $5 bet 100 times in a row. But you want to have those, especially the quick hits too. You got to read the fine print, which we probably went over. You know, I do it, so we'll hit it, but. Be considering other gamblers, but always read the fine print on those slot machines before we get out of here, because there's nothing worse than watching somebody play like a quick hit machine and you see them hit something next to you and they don't get paid for it because they didn't have enough bet in to have all the quick hits or the Wheel of Fortunes. Now, sometimes if you have the gold spin, you got to pay enough for the gold spin, and then they get the gold spin and they didn't buy enough. And it's like, well, that's where you win the jackpot possibly is on that gold spin. So 16 would be know about the slot you're playing, you know, and then know how much you need to play to be able to get the best you know
out
what,
of it.
Robin? I think you covered it in. Let me scroll back here. We have the know the casino rules. Know the rules know the rules. Number 2, right at the beginning. Know the rules, and you know the slot machine. It's a little bit more minutia to it, but you know if you're going to sit down, I mean that's the thing. Like those 88 fortune machine. You can still get the progressive on the 88 cents. That's why people kind of love those machines, is because, you know, the 88 cents, you're still in the progressive hunt. But there's a lot of machines where it's not that way. So, you know, if you're going to play the slots, you might as well do that. And honestly, before we get out of here, Robin, there's one machine, there's this older, it's a 5 reel, but it's the old reel slot machines at Foxwoods. They have one of them left. They used to have 2 of them. It has like this little TNT bonus. I'm telling you, I've been playing this thing for years now. I haven't got the bonus in years. Can they shut the bonus off? Do you know if they can shut the bonus off? I'm telling you. I mean, this is going to sound sad, but over the years, I had to put hundreds into this machine. You know, I go with $20 here, $40 here. Oh, I'm up a little bit. Let me go play here. And I've had some fun bonuses years ago on this machine, and it's one of the obsolete ones now. And that's another pet peeve of mine. I love the reel machines. I'm not a big fan of the video screens. I love the ones with the reels on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a bonus in like 5 years on this freaking thing. It's the last one left. I mean, it's only like it's a $3 bet or something for max bet, but I'm telling you, I must have poured in. I probably supported this whole machine staying in the casino because every time I go, I play on it and I always get crushed.
Yep. Yeah. Isn't it something that we always go back to certain machines that, especially if we hit on it the first time, and then we go back and back and back, and it never does the same thing. You'd think that we would we would learn that in a casino that just because something hit once, it's probably not going to happen again the same way that you expect it to. But oh man, go back and back and back to it.
It's true. Well, here's another way. I'm going to do that. Here's another superstition thing I have, and this is lottery wise. But I noticed, now I'm not a huge scratch off ticket guy. I'm not like a scratch off maniac. But if I go get a sandwich, maybe I'll get a cash word. I'll get a get a little bit of something. So give me that little brighten up my day. Maybe I'll win a little bit of money because I've had a couple of scratch off ticket wins in my life, but. I feel like, and this has to do with kind of the casino slot machines, I feel like when there's a new machine or a new ticket or a new, I don't want to say table game because it's different, but new machines or new scratch-off tickets and stuff, sometimes it feels like they pay out a lot on the front end, and you win when they're new. And then suddenly the edge goes down a little bit. Now, I have no proof of this. I'm not an insider, so this is all superstition. So take it with a whole gallon of salt here. Get the kosher salt box. But sometimes I feel like, when I play something new, it does tend to feel like it pay out a little more, like that Jurassic Park slot or like some scratch-off tickets, and then it dries up. and I'm going back to the same machine year after year, never hitting a bonus round as if the bonuses don't exist on this game. So,
what is
superstition?
7, don't believe in superstitions and myths. Yeah.
I got to turn the buy. Now it's terrible. But you know what? That's kind of the fun of the gambling, I guess, is a little stitious, like you said, Robin. You got to be a little stitious. And I want to thank you. Here we go. I'm going to hit the button here. This means we got a minute left. Robin, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. We're here. This is almost 2 hours. It's like the Godfather of the Cousin Vito Casinos podcast episodes. I had so much fun tonight just talking about the casino. I'm hoping to, do a lot more shows, get back out there. I want to wish everyone, well wishes, hopefully health to everyone's family, Art in the Game podcast, Do for a Win podcast, the Better Life podcast, You Can Bet on That podcast, Vegas Confession podcast. I'm sure there's more podcasts that I listen to that I can't even remember the name right now because I'm about like 4 scotches deep here. This is more than I drank at the casino last time, I think. But Robin, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's reliving all our old times at the casino. I don't know if it's just feeling like we're at the table together. I almost feel like I gave you a virtual high five tonight.
Absolutely. It's been a great time.
But I got a funny feeling, and this is my first time doing this live without post-production, but I got a funny feeling between me and you, all the other podcasts, we can make luck happen. Oh, I was off by 5 seconds there, Robin, but it was worth it tonight. I want to thank you again for coming out, and boy, do I miss everyone at the casino.
Yeah, that was, this is a lot of fun. Are we off now?
Well, now we are. I was going to include that. We'll leave it on. We'll say, this will be like extra at the end of the episode. We'll make it the full Godfather.